What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Life Stories. Today, I am hanging out with my man Eric, who's all the way in Virginia, 12 miles from DC. Exactly. What's up, man?
Not a lot, man. Living life, living the dream, man. Living my photographer life, man.
That's awesome. How's life in Virginia?
Right now, it was pretty hot today. It was probably not hot compared to Texas, but for us, it was a little warm. But nice.
Wow. So me and Eric met at One Journey Festival in DC about maybe 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong.
I think so. 3 years ago.
Yeah, amazing photographer, just a great person all around. So I really actually don't know. I don't know your story. I don't think we ever had like a conversation about you. So I think this is a great opportunity to get to know you a little bit. Do you want to take us through the journey of your life? Any part that you want to share?
All right. So it all started when this man met this woman. Just kidding. I'll start off with I'll back into it. So I'm on the verge of being able to retire from my day gig, my day job, my boring cubicle life. It's not boring, but it's a job I've been working at for a very long time, and I'm really close in a few years of being able to just cut the strings of that and do what I love, which is play around with the thing that's filming me right now, of which I have 3 right now, and I think 6 lenses on the pro level. The way I got into photography is kind of a good way to tell the story of my life and why I am where I am right now. As with any life, I've heard a little bit of your story from your own from YouTube and such. We all deal with adversity and how we react to that, and how we allow that adversity to affect how we treat others, and to perhaps change our view on how we see others and treat others. I think that's what makes us and defines us. I try to think that I've always been a kind person, but I'm sure there were times in my life, and I know there were times in my life when maybe I wasn't the best person I should have been. But then 12 years ago, I got divorced. I was married to my best friend, and she is still one of my best friends. I have known her since 1986, which is a very long time, giving my age away there a little bit. I'm friends with her new husband. We're still close. We remain very close. And to quote her, and this applies to everyone in life, you don't throw away good people. People make missteps. People make mistakes. And if they don't make the same mistake over and over again, then forgiveness. It's a powerful thing. Not that either of us need to do that, but it's something that don't let someone's missteps, don't let someone's things that hurt you one way or another define them. If you know that you've had great times with them, you've loved them, you've enjoyed their company, hold on to those things when the bad times happen, and try to get back there. So 12 years ago I got divorced, and never thought I'd be there. No one does. I'd been married for almost a quarter century. I got married when I was 12 years old. Just kidding. Got married when I was 20, and was married almost. We were just shy of 24 years, so almost quarter century. And so I had to redefine my life at what many people consider middle age. I was in my 40s. I was starting to get really heavy into running. I was very competitive about it. I raced all the time. I trained all the time. I coached. And that seemed to be something that was going to be my life. It very much defined me for that period. And it was the thing that had a very cathartic effect on me, because it took me out of the emotions and got me into the physical thing that drove me, and in turn helped prepare my emotions. And it turned out I was good at it. And I was good at imparting wisdom of how to do it properly to others. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute, how that ties into my photography life. So I started doing some coaching, one-on-one coaching with teens. And because, as my parents might say, I'm probably still immature in a way. I'm still a kid. I found that I could really connect to these teens in coaching. One of the moms, in fact, joked that her daughter listened to me better than she did her.
Wow.
We just connected. A sweet kid. In fact, I have a wall which I will send you a picture of. That if you want to share in this later, you can, of what I call my happiness wall. And it is right now. I have two of them. One of them I think is 58 pictures of
Wow.
just moments in my life, mostly the last 10, 12 years, that are just very special to me. They aren't these great cinematic pictures. They aren't, works of art, but they're works of heart.
Wow.
They're things that every day I walk in my door and I see all of those pictures. And I can point to any one of them. And I did today on a FaceTime call with a 14-year-old who I'm mentoring in photography today. I walked her through every single one of those pictures and told her who those people were. She wanted to know that because on the opposite side of that wall is my newest section of happiness wall, which she is a part of in a big way. Because for the last 9 months, she has been one of the integral parts of my life. So back to the running coaching. I was racing, I was coaching these kids, and they were seeing improvements, and I had a great community. And in DC, there is a huge running community. There is literally a race every weekend, to the point where one year I raced 50 races in a year. It's just everyone, you can't drive a car down the side of a street in DC and not see someone running. It's a beautiful thing because it's a very connected community, as with any community. It has just this core group of people that is always helpful, supportive, and will do anything for one another. That began to take me places physically. I mean, literally, I traveled for races. I went to Colorado, ran a race in the Mile High City, ran a race in Philadelphia, Atlanta, all over the place. Cincinnati. I have a tattoo. Actually, can I show a tattoo? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So this tattoo here, people always say, "Is that the Golden Gate Bridge?" And I say, "You don't know bridges, bro. That is the Brooklyn Bridge, and that is a pig flying over it." So that occurred in 2014. I ran a race called the Flying Pig in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is one of the largest races in the world, actually, for half marathons, rather. It's one of the largest ones in the world, and I think it's the second largest in the U.S., and it is a very hard race because Cincinnati is known as the City of Seven Hills. Brutal.
Wow.
13 days later, I ran the Brooklyn half, hence the pig flying over the Brooklyn Bridge.
Wow.
So we finished that race. I ran that race, interestingly enough, with the first race I ran, not along with, like at the same time, but a friend of mine ran the race same time as I did. Someone from the running community who was on the same race team as me. And then 2 weeks later, 13 days later, I ran the Brooklyn half, and another friend who was on the same race team ran that race. The two of them are best friends, and I'm happy to say that I introduced them through the race team. Again, community. Community is what keeps us together, which it is a bit of a play on words, but it keeps not only us together as people. I mean, you and I are in a community, but it keeps us as individuals together. Whatever community you're a part of, that helps to keep you grounded, gives you something to focus on. So anyways, I kept coaching, I kept racing, and I thought that was going to define my life until the day I died. Let's back up to when I was a teenager. I found out when I tried to join the military that I had a heart murmur.
Oh, wow.
No big deal. There's billions of people probably have heart murmurs, right? Well, turns out mine was bad, but I still raced. I knew about it. I was under doctor's, care. But it got to the point where the doc said, we're going to have to fix that one of these days. And I said, whoa, what do you mean by that? Oh, we're going to have to do heart surgery. Again, what do you mean by that, bro? Back up. Back that truck up. So I decided that that conversation was the impetus for me to start getting fit and running. Okay? Because they said, well, the best thing you can do is just make yourself as strong as you can be.
Yeah.
In so doing, it caused my heart to enlarge. So 2014, I ran all these races. All of my records, every record was in 2014. And
Wow.
then I go to my annual appointment, my cardiologist. Eric, you're going to have to stop training. Keyword training. She said, I know you're not going to stop running, but you need to stop pushing yourself because your heart has enlarged. And it's going to need repair soon. And we need to figure out if it's just you running that's making it get bigger or if it's the defect. So I stopped training. I slowed down. I chilled. And come to find out, yep, it needed replaced. So 2015, I had that done.
Wow.
And what was interesting was members of the running community just gathered around me, came over to my house, took me for walks, kept me active, and many of them are some of my closest and dearest friends to this day. But an interesting thing happened in that after my heart was repaired, and I'm now 100%. I've never been 100% in my life. That means I could conceivably run faster, do more than I ever did before, right? I thought, wow,
Yeah.
those records I set a year and a half ago, I'm going to destroy those. So 2016 rolls around, and I say, okay, I'm going to get back into it. And I had completely lost any desire to do that anymore.
Wow.
And I didn't try to dig too deeply into it that time, but looking back, I think it may have been that I knew I had a bad heart. So I felt like I had to prove something. Hey, this isn't stopping me. It didn't hold me back. So I needed a new passion. And I had been taking pictures for a long time already. Never to the extent that I do now. But, you know, I actually had a friend who has probably a dozen or so of my pictures from San Francisco, DC, Grand Canyon on their walls. Okay.
Wow.
I had sold some pictures, so technically I was professional already. I'd made some money off of it. And I said, you know what? This looks cool. So I got my first DSLR. Before then, I had been, point and shoots, higher end point and shoots, but still just point and shoots. And so I got my first DSLR, Canon Rebel T3i. I still have it. I will never get rid of that camera. And I started taking pictures at races because I was a runner, right?
Yeah.
And I got hired for doing that. So, boom, I'm making money taking pictures. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
A couple race teams hired me to take their pictures. And the cool thing happened was that I would take pictures in races of people I didn't know, not just people I knew. In the Marine Corps Marathon in particular, which is a pretty big race, I took some pictures of a young lady who was running with the American flag. And I was on Maryland Avenue in D.C., where you can see the Capitol behind. The Capitol is behind the runners. They're running straight for me, right? And when you're at a race, if you're a runner, there are these hired photographers, these hired guns, and they just sit on a 5-gallon bucket usually and just take pictures because they got to make sure it's volume. They got to click everyone, right? So they can't get into really cool angles and stuff, right? I'm lying on the ground trying to get right at the edge of the course to get that great shot. And this woman has, I won't say the name, but she has the name of a charity really emblazoned across her shirt, a charity that helps veterans' families. And she starts running straight towards me. And she gets close to me and she points at me. And I sent that picture to that charity and they used it. And I thought,
Wow.
that's cool. And so I started going through the pictures and finding bib numbers on people that I didn't know, whom I really, for whom I really thought the picture could be something that they would like. I found those bib numbers, I found their names, I found them on the internet, and I sent them pictures. And people loved it. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm onto something here. so I got into portrait photography. And then this funny little thing happened. This pandemic happened.
Wow. 2020.
Just as I was getting into it, right?
Yeah.
And so the pandemic, I think my work sent me home like the second week of March, like everyone, right?
Mm.
And April 25th, 2020, my bicycle decided that it wanted to try to kill me. So at 25 miles an hour, I had a stick pop up in my spokes, landed me face first, and I mean face first, 25 miles an hour, on the
Oh,
pavement. Broke my face. These 4 new teeth are new. Broken ribs. Tore my shoulder up. Tore my hamstring up, which further impacted my ability to run. And so when I started to get to the point where I could actually walk around again, I would take my dog, rest in peace, I would take my dog to DC. And I would walk around the mall with him, the National Mall, around the memorials, and I'd always have a camera with me. And by then, I had upgraded. I now had a 5D Mark IV. I'm rocking the big guns, and I had
big lenses.
yeah, big lenses, big yeah.
Empty lenses for that fact.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I have those big Canon EF lenses, and I also had an 80D at the time as well. So I had two pro level cameras. But I'd take that, one or both of them downtown with me. I'd walk around the monuments, and something really cool happened. There is a girl just graduated from college, and her boyfriend's taking a picture of her with the phone, and he's doing what every boyfriend does. He's just standing there taking a picture. And I thought, man, she just looks so beautiful standing there with the background of the Washington Monument with a perfect reflection. And I walked up and I said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I take some pictures of you?" And she goes, "I don't think I can afford that." I said, "I'm not charging you." I said, "I'm going to take some pictures of you." And she loved it. Long story short, I'm going to cut this into the chase. 2020, no one got graduation pictures in school because no one would go to school. I photographed just under 300 graduates that year.
Wow.
College, high school. Most of them I met down there, just walking around. Now, some of those included what high schools would do in the area is they would have car parades to graduate for graduates. Okay, they'd be in their cars. They're all social distance, so they would drive around the school, be handed their diploma and keep going, or what have you. And I was taking pictures of all that. I did that for 3 high schools in the area. And it was just a very rewarding. It just felt like the thing to do, But in so doing, it connected me with a lot of people who I'm still in touch with now. And that drive for photography grew and grew and grew. Or for portrait photography, the intense side of it, the really heavy side of it, really started to grow much more than it had the previous decade. 2012, I'd started doing this stuff. Now I am driven because I'm not running much. I can't, So photography is the thing I'm going to do now. And so I fall into a portrait community called Portrait Meet DC. That's a beautiful group. If you're ever up here in DC, we have a meet. You and I are going. It's a wonderful community. People can show up with a camera they just bought today, or someone who's been doing it for 50 years, and we just models show up, stylists, photographers, and it's just a community, and we help each other out. With guidance on equipment, guidance on posing, lighting, everything.
Wow.
And so that's been a beautiful thing. Met so many people, made so many great friends through that community. And again, communities, like I've said, community is what keeps us together as individuals.
Okay.
Community keeps individuals in a group. You and I, we're together, we're a community. But community keeps me together as an individual. I had just come through some very traumatic events, and this community helped me rebuild and redefine myself again because I couldn't do the thing that had defined me before.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant evolution, and I think it speaks to the constant spiritual, emotional growth. So I've taken, I can't even tell you how many portraits I've taken in the last several years. But I went through another very dramatic change to my subject matter just over 2 years ago. I think it's been 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years. As you know, I have been posting a ton of dance photography.
Yeah.
And that came, the same dog that helped me get through my injuries, that same dog I took for walks with the camera, that dog passed away in just over 2 years, or just under 2 years ago. It has been 2 years, yeah, since this happened. So September from 2 years ago, 2022, my dog passed away. And my little sister walks up here and she goes, "You're not sitting here and crying for 2 weeks," because it was the first day of a 2-week vacation. And she goes, "You need to go somewhere." So she helped me book a trip to Chicago because I'd never been there, as you know I wanted to. 10 days in Chicago. So I go for a run along Lake Michigan, beautiful morning, just trying to restore myself. Of course, I took a camera with me on that trip. Why wouldn't I? And I finished my run on a Saturday morning, and a dog, the same breed as mine, walks up to me as I'm walking back to my hotel.
Wow.
So
No way.
being an emotional human being who's been through a lot of traumatic events, I'm much more in touch with that side of myself now. I was upset. So I go back, I get my shower. I wanted to go to the Field Museum, never been there. It's historic, it's legendary. I went to the Field Museum, and I was not feeling it. I had my camera around my neck, had a 24 to 72.8 lens on it. That's all I took. Walk into the Field Museum, and I see these young ladies and some guys wearing these beautiful outfits, which I now know are called vestuarios. They were folklorico dancers, which is a Mexican dance discipline or art form. And like, wow, this is really cool. I almost felt like a voyeur because I'm trying to snap pictures of all these people in their dresses and all. And then I walk up this grand staircase into this beautifully lit, naturally lit atrium, not atrium, but this grand central foyer, not foyer. It's this grand open area with skylights, all this bathed in natural, beautiful light. And there's a gentleman there wearing a cowboy hat, and I asked him, his name's Ramon, find out later, what's happening here? He goes, "Oh, this is Ballot Folklorico. We're going to have a performance here in just a few minutes." I said, "Oh, would you mind if I take pictures of you?" He said, "Oh, we'd love that. But how long is it?" "An hour." "Oh, I only have 30 minutes. I got tickets to a movie downstairs." I shot the entire performance. And so fast forward to today. I just got home from Chicago a week and a half ago after spending 16 days there to shoot 2 of their events. I will be going back there next weekend to photograph the graduation for one of the dancers, who is also now my photography student, connecting these worlds. And then on Sunday of next weekend, I will also photograph another of their events. I'm not even sure how many of their events I have photographed at this point, because I have done so many of them, to the point where they even took me to Cartagena, Colombia last November for a week. And they have become, quite honestly, and yes, I'm getting emotional, a family to me. It has been such an emotionally transformative, energizing, and enlightening thing. I'd never experienced anything having to do with Mexican culture. And I have become, they treat me like family, They even call me El Rubio, which is the
What does that mean?
blonde. The blonde. Um, uh, and that's because someone from Mexico actually was looking for me because I had taken pictures of their dance group in Colombia.
Yeah.
I took pictures of tons of people from all over South, Central America, and North America. Not just my group from they're from Chicago, and one of them was looking for the photographer from Chicago. They didn't know my name, so they found one of the people from my group and said, "Where's your photographer, El Rubio?" So that's become my name. But to the point where I actually, when I go to Chicago now, I stay at the home of one of the families, one of the dance
Wow.
families, that have two wonderful teen daughters who treat me like family. And I'm now teaching one of them photography. And we have FaceTime sessions. I think, in fact, we were supposed to do this 2 nights ago, and I said, I can't. I have a FaceTime mentoring session with
Yeah.
a young lady.
Yeah.
So I went to LA to shoot Katrina's. If you're not sure what Katrina's are, the Day of the Dead makeup. I went to Chicago for a week to do that.
Wow.
I've had other groups locally all over the place ask me to do this for them. And it's just been such a beautiful journey.
Wow. Yeah.
And it keeps growing my network, sometimes I think that's an ugly word. I said it, and I know I said it because it's just part of the vernacular, but that's a word that I think applies to my day job, my office job, my cubicle job, but photography is more of a passion to me.
Yes.
Yes, it is an income generator, without a doubt. But I don't look at the people who do hire me as employees so much as people with whom I'm connecting,
Yes.
and almost always leave with a friendship, if not something even stronger. So I think it's all about, finding the thing that gives you passion, using that thing to connect with others,
Yes.
and not just to connect with them, but you can find a way to let the thing that you're passionate about help to improve the lives of others while improving your own,
Yes.
then brother, you're going to change the world. And it might only change the world for one person, but you know what? That's all you need.
Amazing. I think, man, that's a beautiful life story. That's a beautiful journey. I think it just reminds me of how like life can surprise you if you keep going. Like when you were doing bicycle, you just didn't know that one day you'll be doing photography, and you just kept getting up and discovering new passions and getting up and just if you keep going, life is gonna surprise you with amazing things that you can do and reveal things to you that you didn't know about yourself. You didn't even know you can be this person taking amazing photos. Now it's amazing. I guess for closing out, one of the things I've always noticed about you is that you're very joyful. You're probably one of the most joyful person I've ever met, even though I know I see you from a distance. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Just in short, in closing, what is the source of your joy? How do you stay joyful?
I probably haven't always been as joyful. I've always been a person who's, I laugh. I try to find the humor in things, try to find reasons to smile about things. But I think, prior to some of the worst things happening in my life, maybe if something happened bad in my life, I would let it get me down for an extended period of time. And in some ways that may be human nature for a lot of people. But oddly enough, since the worst things that happened in my life, the things I spoke to earlier, I find that, with both the running and the photography, I find it beautiful that when I share those things with others, when I begin to interact with that community, I see joy in others that comes from our interactions, from me training someone and that suddenly they're faster, they can do something that they didn't think they could do, from someone now taking pictures that are professional quality and they didn't think they could do that, or just me taking someone's picture and making them feel better about themselves, showing them a part of themselves that they perhaps didn't see before. I had a young lady, wonderful young lady, tell me one time that a picture I took of her gave her confidence. And I'm tearing up because when she told me that, it's like, my God, my goodness, if that's not a reason to do something, if that doesn't bring you joy, and it did, it brought me joy. There's no such thing, I've heard it said, there's no such thing as true altruism, because altruism, by definition, is doing something for someone else and getting nothing in return at all. I don't think that's possible, because if you've done something good for someone else, improved their life in any way, shape, or form, that can't help but make you feel good, and that's a benefit to yourself. So yeah, that's what keeps me joyful, and seeing the joy in others through things that I do. Maybe that's selfish. If so, guilty as charged.
Amazing. That's incredible. Well, Eric, it's been so good to have you on the show today. This has been so much fun. I've actually learned a lot just hearing you speak. And I feel very inspired. Hopefully we can do this again some other time. Any parting words to everybody watching us today? Do you have anything to close out?
Find something that brings joy to you, and find a way to allow that thing to bring joy to the people you love, and you can't go wrong.
Amazing. And with that, this has been Life Story. Until next time, take care, guys.